It's Friday. Real life stories of the impossible. I'm Alain Nu, the man who knows. Welcome. We have been talking about some mystical stuff with regards to Washington, D.C., which is where we're at right now. And just probably a month from now, I'll be back in Las Vegas. But for right now, here we are in Washington, D.C. And we talked a little bit about the dollar bill and some of the strange mystical symbolism in the last couple of episodes. But today, I'm going to mention the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. Have you ever heard of it? It's called the Jewish Sephiroth. It's actually a mystical symbol from the Kabbalah, it's basically I think it dates back to Assyria, which really goes way back into mystical history, where in fact they use dates and numbers and basically images of the heavens and the earth in order to create a passageway for man to kind of find his way to enlightenment. So that being said, if you like the kinds of things that we talk about here on this channel, why not subscribe and tell it to a friend? Because we're into the really deep stuff. We don't always talk about the usual stuff here, but we do it so well. These are my real life stories of the impossible. So, what is a royal mile? Do you know what the royal mile is? Well, the Royal Mile would be associated with Scotland, and if you go to Scotland, there's a street called High Street, and technically High Street is 1 royal mile. 1 royal mile equals to like 1.6 kilometers, so just short of a mile. And interestingly, 1 royal mile is exactly the distance from the Jefferson Memorial straight up into a line. Remember we were talking about ley lines last Sunday? Straight up from the Jefferson Memorial to the Washington Memorial is 1 royal mile. Interesting, huh? And then if you take that line and continue going straight up north from the diamond that is DC, that is considered ad quadratum, right from there you got Jefferson Memorial, Washington Monument, White House. 1 royal mile from the Washington Monument is the White House. So that's kind of interesting, because if you use those little nodes as the trunk of the tree of life that are known as Malkuth, Yesod, and Tiphereth, basically these are it's considered they call it the kingdom, and then the foundation, and then the beauty of the human spirit. Those are the 3, that's the trunk of the tree of life. And if you actually kind of took that outwards from there, suddenly from the White House, and kind of took it out into the branches of that tree of life, you go out to the Kennedy Center on the west side, Judiciary Square on the east side, and then move it up to Washington Circle and Mount Vernon Square, and you can continue that line. And when you get to the crown of that, the crown is called Kether. That's the top of the tree of life. And guess what's about 3 blocks away from Kether? The Scottish Rite Masonic Temple. Dun, 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 right? We were talking about that the other day. It's kind of interesting that it comes back to the Masonic Temple. It comes back to the Freemasons at the very top of that tree of life. Now, here's the interesting thing. Using the concept of the Royal Mile if you were to turn that into a circle, and then take those circles and like fill out the entire diamond of Washington, D.C., you can actually fill it up with the flower of life. And from there, the flower of life, I don't know if you're familiar with this concept, but the flower of life is literally like 1 circle surrounded by 6 circles. And you'll find that if you have 7 circles of equal diameters, you can literally take 1 circle and it surrounds with 7 circles. Try it with quarters at home. Anyway, so that's kind of interesting, this idea that you can find the tree of life in Washington, D.C. through the circles that piss everybody else off, because they cause traffic jams in DC. So I know that my friend Aloma had mentioned something about churches as being part of the sacred geometry. I do know that this particular aspect of the sacred geometry is what I know about it. And if you're interested in it, or if you have any more questions about it, please comment below. I enjoyed this time with you all. And stay tuned tomorrow for a little bit of a longer episode. I'll talk a little bit more about myself and what's been going on in my life. I look forward to speaking with you then. Thanks for tuning in to another Sacred Geometry episode of Real Life Stories of the Impossible. Why not go out to my website at themanwhoknows.tv if you're interested, and subscribe to my newsletter. I give you a free gift. I'll give you a clue on the free gift, by the way. It's basically it's a manifestation technique. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff that involves the law of attraction and stuff like that, that's basically what you get by simply subscribing to my newsletter at themanwhoknows.tv. Had fun with you all. See you tomorrow.